This is the 139 training module that we typically do in the last day of the intensive regarding leadership development. So I'm going to flip over to my document camera and I'm just going to kind of walk you through what I do with this module. So first thing is you're going to have everyone get a sheet of paper, and I tend to do this lengthwise if it just because the way we draw this out. So everyone needs to get a piece of paper, and you're going to be up at the board and you're going to ask people to get a piece of paper out. And at the top, you're going to write 139 and just put a box on it just like that. And so we typically do the 139 coming off of the precision harvesting because it's just a natural thing. We just have clearly seen from Jesus's ministry that he was filtering people for obedience. And he was using certain filters to determine who to spend time with. Now, he was using filters that we not necessarily can use, like drink my blood and eat my body. But however, there are some practical things that we can look for in terms of who to determine who to spend our best time with, because we all know that we only have so much time in the week and we can only do so many one outs with people. And if we're not careful, we can give our best time to activities and to relationships that are good, but are not necessarily moving the needle in terms of discipleship and leadership development. So with that said, what I want you to do is right over here, I want you to put 2 Timothy. This is a very famous passage in the discipleship world, 2 Timothy 2:2. So we want to ask the question. I want you to read that. Someone read that out loud. And I want to ask the question, how many generations of leadership is represented in just that one verse? All right. So someone reads it and you're like, all right, how many generations do we see there? And so you listen. And so you're looking for the key answer is three. There's three generations represented there. You're like, yeah, that's right. So what we want to do is we want to draw this out kind of. I want you to put the first generation we see there was Paul. Yeah. Paul. And then the next generation of disciple or leadership, because of who it was written to, we can see that that was Timothy. And then it gets a little vague here, but we certainly can make the leap that there's another generation going on here. And I'm going to represent that this way. You put 2, 3 arrows like this, and you put an arrow just like that. And that was faithful men. Right. And then, so we're going to represent that by putting 3 people, right? Like right here, and right here. All right. So we're going to represent 3 faithful men right there. Now, this is where it might be a little bit of a leap, but behind each of these faithful men, and by the way, the reason we put 3 faithful men is because we see Jesus having 12, but ultimately he had 3, Peter, James, and John. So when we see faithful men at minimum, we're thinking at least 3 people. Now, this is where it's a little bit of a leap, but behind each of these 3 men, we're going to assume that not assume, but we're going to make the leap that they could possibly have 3 behind them too in time, because you're going to model for them what you're doing and they're going to take that. So in this first layer here, we call this the 139, and you're going to see it here. We got 1 right there, and then obviously the 3, and then the potential of 9 right here. So this is what we call the 139. So we believe that what we see Paul doing here is revealing a very wise but authoritative pattern or principle that we should aspire to when spending a time with people and to multiply the kingdom. Now, the $1,000,000 question is, how do I find these people? And what should I be looking for that would help me to find who to spend time with and who to give my best resources to? Now, we certainly get a very straightforward sign. It's faithful people, people that are faithful. However, in the following verses, I believe it's 3 through 6, we see Paul using three very distinct illustrations of the kind of person Timothy should be. And by extension, we believe that that's exactly what you should be looking for. So what we want to do over here is we want to write 2 Timothy. We're just going to keep reading the verses that come after verse 2, chapter 2, verse 36. And what we're going to see is that Paul gives us three very distinct illustrations. The first one he gives us is in verses 3 through 4. 1 second, I want to shut the door here. We see the illustration of a soldier. And I'm just to kind of keep it cute, I'm going to put like something a soldier would have, a spear or something like that. And so a soldier is someone who never leave their post. And so we're going to look for basically two characteristics with them, is that they are faithful, which we're jumping off of this theme right here. And they are available. And by the way, read these verses. And so we see faithful and available with a soldier. The next thing we see in verse 6, as we read verse 6, we see the athlete. And maybe just to kind of keep it cute, we're going to have him, using some weights or something like that. And with an athlete, one of the key things, and again, you can have fun with this, but an athlete, we want to say that what distinguishes an athlete is they are teachable. The line under that. So we're looking for faithful, available, teachable. And then the last one is a farmer, and that's in I'm sorry, that was actually verse 5. This is verse 6. We have the farmer. And a farmer is reproducing. To be a successful farmer, you got to reproduce. There's got to be multiplication. And so what we basically say is what we're looking for is what we would call a fatter person. I know that sounds funny and cute, but we're looking for this kind of person. Someone who's faithful, someone who is available, someone who is teachable, and ultimately long term, someone who's reproducing. These are the key attributes we're looking for. Now, some of these attributes are just common sense, right? They're intuitive. And in fact, some of these traits can be revealed relatively quickly by just being around people. The first, I would say you can see the first three within just a matter of days or week. Now, obviously, reproducing takes time, and that's seen over a period of time. So that might take a little bit more spending time with him. But at the end of the day, you need to have criteria in terms of who you're going to spend time with. And these are 4 criteria that are critical. They're faithful, they are available, they are teachable, and they're reproducing. I would say at the end of the day, this is what Paul was calling Timothy to do. And we always find that when you become these things, you ultimately attract almost the exact kind of person. So the 139 is that it starts with Timothy, and then his faithful men, and then you're challenging them to find 3 more, and it gets to 9 people very quickly. And what you want to look for are these basic attributes. They're faithful, they're available, they're teachable, and they're reproducing. So this is the 139.